Hi Photos subscribers. We've got a video coming down the YouTube feed for you on our channel that is a little bit longer than our normal. I hope that doesn't scare you off. I don't think any of our subscribers or fans that haven't subscribed are going to be scared off by a longer video. We've done about 3 weeks worth of videos and we're trying to keep those to 5 minutes. Some of these introductory product videos we're going to try and do in the shortest time possible so that you get an idea, a very broad overview, because we're going to be going into detail of how each product is used and how that can change, affect, level up your photography, because that's what this channel is all about, taking you from where you are. Generally at this point we're starting with the beginner level stuff and helping you figure out where you want to go and how to level up to the next place. So if this is the first time that you are meeting me and I'm meeting you, I'm Joe, a professional photographer. I have about 25 years experience, 17 years in just personal use and doing some stock photography and learning how to do the different principles that I'm teaching you about photography, how lighting works, how camera works, and the details of the camera, the working of it. My father was an electrical engineer, and so he enjoyed mechanical engineering and electrical engineering, and he taught me all about that. So I've got this kind of geeky mentality and how things work. So I really enjoy this kind of thing and I enjoy explaining it. I don't have all the fancy videos that some of these other channels do, and maybe you've seen some of those how things work videos. I really enjoy watching those. Just kind of making my mind veg. I turn those on and just watch it. A lot of people don't think they're that interesting, but that's kind of how I grew up. But today we're going to be talking about lens diaphragms and why that really changes, what it changes, and we'll be going into specific detail about how that change really affects your photography and what your photography really should look like. Thinking about the end goal, what you want to catch in your photo, and kind of reverse engineer that, work that back into what does that mean in how you set the settings of your lens, the shutter speed, the ISO. Get all that figured out, reverse engineer it so that you get all the purpose and the parts work together so that when you actually actuate your camera, you've got that photograph that you can then edit in the post process to be that dynamic, incredible image that you had in your mind to start. So a diaphragm of a lens sounds really kind of odd, and is that similar to the diaphragm that we have in our body? You know, it really isn't. But the diaphragm is 8 different panels of a lens that fit together and they work together in close to a single plane, and they all move one behind the other. And so it's very much like this. Even though this is not a lens diaphragm, you can see how I'm moving this wheel together, and those flanges are moving apart, and now moving the other direction, they're moving together. The important part of what we're talking about today is as you close down your lens diaphragm, and how you know that it's closing down, is getting smaller, is the higher f-stop number. You may see on your camera digital display, you have an f-stop or the F number, it'll be F slash whatever. That f-stop is talking about the aperture of your lens diaphragm, how open or closed it is. The smaller your number, 1.8, 2.1, 2.0, 2.2, your lens diaphragm is going to be really wide open. And if you take any kind of circle and you put your eye up next to it, you're gonna see the more scope your eye has, the more your brain shuts down. And so your brain has to start paying less attention to things and paying more attention to other things. So something is going to come into focus and other things are going to go out of focus. But if you take that same item, like your lens diaphragm, and close it down like this one, it's a very small item, and you put your eye up next to it, you're gonna see a lot of things are all in focus. Why is that? You keep the whatever you have, like this diaphragm, keep it at the same distance from your eye, so it simulates the distance from your lens diaphragm to the sensor. But you're gonna notice, if at the same distance, this diaphragm to your eye is closed down, and the hole that you're looking through at the same, the plane of this item is at the same distance from your eye as it was when it was wide open. Now everything through that hole looks in focus. Like, there's very few things that are not in focus. It's an interesting technical name and principle, physics, an application of physics here, but without getting distracted by the geeky stuff, the point for why things appear more in focus with a smaller diaphragm hole is there's less light coming through, but the use of the smaller diaphragm allows for the narrowing of the view and allows more of what is seen to be in focus, because there is less need to see everything. And so the natural lens, you don't see the diaphragm in your shot. You just see things get darker. You see there's more focal depth, which is what we're talking about. Now we can get into a lot of interesting mathematical reasons for this and proofs of it, but I don't want to bog down your desire to watch the rest of it and to learn about photography. So the basic proof I want to give you is, when you take a picture at f-stop 16 or f-stop 20, maybe f-stop 22, you're gonna see if you can have things staged out from 1.5 foot to your lens to 2 foot to 3 foot. You're gonna see more and more things are in focus. Even if you just go out and do a Google search of what f-stop does, then you're gonna see some important visual aids that show you different, one of the visual aids I saw is a line of colored pencils. The shorter the f-stop, the more pointed the focus is. It's gonna need to be focused in on one specific part of one of those colored pencils, such as f-stop 2 or f-stop 1.8. It's gonna need to focus on the tip of the lead of one of those colored pencils, depending on how far away the camera is from those pencils. But the wider, which is the lower number, the wider the diaphragm, the more pointed the focus has to be. But the more closed the diaphragm, which is the higher numbers, the f-stop 18, 22, you're gonna see a lot more come into focus. Now, there may not be as sharp a focus, but there will be a greater depth of focus, and that's what we call focal depth. And all that comes from lens aperture. And that's important to know, so that when you want to include the scenery backdrop from somebody you might be shooting a portrait of, and you want that in focus, there's a real important thing you're gonna need to do, is to focus the camera in such a way so that your subject is in focus, sharp focus, but focusing in such a way too that you set your camera specifically to a focal length, that your background also is not completely blurred out. But at the same time, that's another photography technique, is to cause your background to blur while your subject is completely in focus. So thank you so much for watching. If this has had any bearing on making you want to learn more about photography and the interest in the things behind it and how to use your camera and the amazing, I find them amazing, really fun technical things behind photography, please like this video and subscribe. Ring that notification bell so that we can show you the things that are coming up. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.